across the tracks
And then
to
I
the
just-
school,
Have you?
and the school was on lockdown, thinking I couldn't get in.
That's right where Summer Web lived.
Yeah. And so he got away from there. Stole the car, which was great, got away from the school. And the guy took off to Marfa. Met Danny Dominguez with her, went back to Valentine, jumped the railroad tracks right at the Quebec, right at 505. Out in the pasture, shot. And no ID, they didn't know who it was, and they did find him. He is a Mexican national. So, other than that, that's all.
Yeah, because he was firing at the sheriff's.
Yeah,
Everybody, so.
Danny was chasing him.
I'm not sure.
Hit a pistol,
Supposed to be.
and another shotgun.
The other schools done already.
Yeah, that, thank God.
Glad I wasn't there.
That'd be a good headline. Mayor Cruz stops threat.
Yeah, stops thread and Valentine.
Yeah. Save
But he still hasn't fixed my potholes. Comments.
Fix the streets.
Drop it.
I saw them.
Oh, me pone. He's a cholo. Maybe you should take a picture with Public Works and they'll fix our potholes. And then I commented, should have put a picture of me with the Public Works. I have one already.
Can you hear it?
Did you see them?
Oh, you can hear us, but I can't.
It's with.
Oh, yeah, with some rollers on it. It's because we drive the same streets. And we get frustrated.
Yeah.
I come my office sometimes myself.
Just, thank you.
When's Mary Cruz gonna fix the roads over there?
I started getting lost to my personal self.
Hey, can you guys hear me? This is Summer.
Or somebody just.
Annette, can you hear me?
As I know,
No, I get calls on Sunday. Someone did a call on
Annette,
the road here in front of my house. Can you come move it? I already called animal control. They're not answering.
I'm on my way.
No, man, I called a couple buddies of mine there and I go, hey, I need a solid. What's up? Go get some chains. Move that steer off the road for me, man.
Cut it up and.
I'll go swing by and pick up my 30 pack later. I said, okay.
So you weren't gonna.
Okay, I'm gonna try one more time. Thank you.
Well, we are open. This is not part of our announcement, but we're opening our new police.
Okay.
Want to make sure you guys get invitations. You guys get invitations to the thing. Where's my set? You got that?
But
Oh, you my business shop?
On? Yeah.
Take one, pass it down.
no, your eyes office is called there.
Oh, okay.
We'll be there, man.
When is it, Mayor? July.
Or.
No, wait.
Let me know.
15th, no?
I got one.
Okay, so
I got one. Okay, I think we can start. Yeah, I told you I would. It's good. He's fine. She's fine.
Good morning.
Stay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're ready.
Yes, sir.
You having a seizure?
Yes.
We'll call this Rio Grande Council of Governments Board of Directors meeting to order, maybe 10 a.m. We will. I don't think.
Oh, yes, we do have quorum, sir. And if you'd like, we could start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please, we'll stand up for the pledge.
Oh, it's over now. We moved it. Sorry.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. You have form?
Sir.
Moving over to approval of minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve previous meeting. All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Number 3, public comments.
Yes, sir. So we do have public comments today. We have representatives from the South Central Solid Waste Authority. And just to inform everyone, there was a site tour that was conducted yesterday at their facility for the transfer station. And Mayor Baeza and Judge Portillo were in attendance. And just to get exploratory, I would say, in terms of understanding what that would mean to have a transfer station in their area if that were to happen and what would be the requirements. And so we have Eddie, and would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Can we stand over here?
Yeah, sure. Yes, sir.
So good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the COG and those in the public. My name is Rafael Leos. I serve as the Deputy Director for South Central Solid Waste Authority. I've been in the solid waste industry for about 14 total years now. And the Solid Waste Authority is a joint power agreement with the City of Las Cruces in Doña Ana County and Doña Ana County. So we're a business type enterprise that generates revenues through our gate rate or the tip fees that we charge. We don't receive any funds or general funds from the public. We've been in operation since 1996. We are nearly vertically integrated as far as solid waste. So if those of you that are familiar, there's collections at your door all the way to final disposal that includes transport, transfer stations, collection centers. Even if you include recycling, it might include a recycling component with materials facilities that help process that material. So we were thankful that we had a visit so that we could share what we do in the industry for our small rural population. And what was visited was our pilot transfer station, which is our much smaller one than one of the largest in the state of New Mexico, if not the largest at this point, to support a small community in Doña Ana County, Chaparral, which is kind of split in the middle with Otero County, servicing about 30,000 individuals in that area. And that is one of the examples of our pilot study to start reducing our community collection centers, which are very rural, nearly unattended, and just small amount of volume that moves through. It's very uneconomical and kind of our system of in the past. And this is across the nation. It's not necessarily New Mexico's old system. It's just how it's done in very rural. So again, we were thankful to have that visit. We have much more to share with you if there's ever a need or an interest. We believe that trash has no boundaries. It has no boundaries. So with that, we all face the same thing, and we all want to do it innovatively, economically, in a way that best serves our public for the public health. So I hope that's enough to provide here. And I understand it's public comment, so we're not here to receive questions, but we do appreciate you guys coming to see us. It's always nice when we're so isolated and then we have visitors. Like those family members you haven't seen in a while. You're like, hey, yeah, come check out what we're doing. So we appreciate y'all. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lawyer.
That will conclude our number 3 public comments. For finance. There with me. Presentation of funds investment quarterly report and accounts held at Wells Fargo for fiscal year 2026. Allison.
And if I may, just as a reminder, folks, if you want to click on the agenda items itself, it'll take you to the backup. Then you can go back to the agenda after you've reviewed that.
Good morning. My name is Alice Acosta. I'm an accountant here at Rio Grande Council of Governments. I am presenting the second quarter investment report for FY26, which is January 1st to March 31st. First up is our operating account with Wells Fargo, which is our main account where we issue checks. Book market value as of March 31st was $3,182,008 and an interest earned of $3,174. Next is our 911 account, which is CSEC advanced funding. The book and market value as of March 31st was $52,502 with an interest of $263. And then lastly, our TC account, which is solid waste. The book and market value as of March 31st was 136,361 with an interest earned of 106. This is an information item only. Do we have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll move into number 5, administration. 5.1, receive and presentation from Annette Gutierrez, executive.
Yes, thank you, President Evans. So I'll present here and then I'll give the mic to Mr. Martinez. So I want to inform everyone of Michael Martinez, who is now serving as the Assistant Vice President for Regional Innovation Partnerships at the University of Texas at El Paso. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity with the Council of Governments and our partnering governments in terms of interactions with UTEP. And I think that's primarily going to be because of our inclusion with Mr. Martinez. So for those of you who may not know Michael, he started here in El Paso with the county, various other positions, but I think what's been most instrumental, and I think it's a job that no one would want after he had it, was serving as a city manager for Ruidoso during the fires and during. And so in terms of having being battle armor ready in terms of local government and how one needs to operate on a state and federal level, I think Michael can attest to how you would need to prepare yourself for that. So I just wanted to give Michael a few minutes here just to let you all know what he's looking at doing at UTEP and how it is that we can interact with the university in a I would say in a different way than we have previously.
Thank you for that introduction, Annette. I appreciate it. So Annette was kind enough to let me introduce myself today. Again, Michael Martinez. I've had about 20 years in local government, local, state, and federal, to be able to serve the public. That's been our goal. The newest position that I'm in today is the Assistant Vice President position for Innovation and Regional Partnerships. What is that? Basically, I get to come and make friends with all local governments and figure out how to close the gaps. And if someone came to me from a university 5 years ago or even 2 years ago and said, hey, I want to help you, I kind of pushed back a little bit because I said ivory tower, operations, there was a disconnect all the time. It was how do you apply theory? The one thing that I'd like to introduce to this group, and sorry, thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the COG for having me in front of you, but the one thing I'd really like to introduce to you is the idea that local government and regional government can really collaborate with the idea of not just internships, but other outside areas related to engagement, federal alignment, regional alignment, state alignment. And what does that mean? That means that let's say you have, and we're working on a case right now, actually, with Safe Streets and the federal grant with the COG. There's a possibility where
on the other side of there, there's a box of a bunch of
Sorry.
ones that are for kitchen.
Oh, sorry. No, sorry. But there's basically an idea of how do we help do an alignment with local government to figure out how to benefit local governments that don't have resources and that may not have a significant amount of funds to engage federal programs. In this case, we're looking to say, step in as a university. We have a transit institute and we have multiple institutes and centers that have the ability to close gaps. We're not trying to fill that consultant position. We understand that you need to get to the consulting area. What we're trying to do is close the gaps for you to be able to get to the consulting position so that you can apply for those larger grants. That may be in the form of a small strategic plan. That may be in the form of small planning. That may be in the form of a small economic development plan, whether it's our Hunt Institute and the students and the professors there, whether it's the MPA programs and our planning sessions, whether it's our transportation engineers and our engineering students with the CTIS relationships. However we can help partner. Some of you have already seen me in your local communities, talking to you, being able to engage with you. I've engaged with multiple others, some of your staff members, whether it be the county, whether it be the city, Horizon, Socorro, Anthony, and we cross state lines as well. We're into New Mexico. My goal is to try and get to the other counties outside of El Paso County so we can also see those types of partnerships. Because at the end of the day, this is our community. It's my backyard, right? If I'm not taking care of it, who will? And so that's the goal that we're trying to do. We want to make sure that we talk to you, ask you what your concerns and issues are, and try and figure out if there's a possibility for collaboration. Ultimately, if there is, great. If not, it's my job to try and help build trust with the community to make sure you know that we're still a collaboration partner. And if you ever need us, you can call on us. Specifically, you have my number, my personal cell phone number is on there, my email's on there, phone number, work number, anything you need, any ideas pop up, please let me know. Anything, questions, items?
I would want to add that perhaps if we can look at a possibility of further engagement between the university and the council of governments, where if we have an interlocal agreement and you all have a need for a study to be done, then perhaps you could coordinate with the COG through the university, and that would help with your procurement. And so that's one thing that the COG envisions. We would need to have a further engagement with the university, but those are the kinds of things that we're thinking of when you all are in need of studies to be done. We think the university would be a very good fit for that.
So, and to that point, and I apologize, I missed a section. I think one of the things that we'd like to do is let you know that there's students from your communities that do attend UTEP that are studying, whether it's public administration, whether it's business, whether it's computer science, that want to give back to their communities. And if we can identify those opportunities, we would love to engage either with the COG or individually. Please, and I mean this with all honesty, if you want me to go out to your communities, give me a call. I would love to set up a schedule. I will go visit. We can talk about concerns, issues, possibilities, and help try and figure out how we make that collaboration happen. And if we need to go through a much larger MOU or interlocal with the COG, we definitely can help set that up. I want to make this key because it's important. There's so very little financial resources out there for these kinds of services, and everyone says, I'm spending my money on other things. I heard it earlier. I need to fix my potholes. And trust me, I've been there. I've been the guy that had to manage how do we get the potholes done while at the same time figuring out how do we increase economic development and new revenues. We understand that. We're trying to help align those federal grants through whether it's federal workforce, whether it's the state workforce, getting funds, whether it's to the COG or to those entities to help fund those programs so that you don't have to look for that significant amount of money. And maybe smaller cash matches or things of that sort, but that's neither here nor there. That's just kind of those ideas and opportunities to keep in the back of your minds.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
5.2, we can authorize the executive director to post a request for proposals for contracted services to assist the Rio Grande Council of Governments in recruiting small and medium-sized manufacturing firms in El Paso County into the Innovation Network for Manufacturing. Should the Rio COG enter into an agreement with El Paso?
Yes, sir. On this agenda item, I am requesting if we can table this agenda item. There are some items within the RFP that need to be clarified. And so I think to put our best foot forward, we'll hold back on that one and bring it back.
I'll entertain the motion. You to table. Second. Been moved and seconded to table the item 5.2. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Number 6, Regional Services. 6.1, approve and authorize Council of Governments to submit by 2027 assistance. Marissa Quintanilla.
Good morning, Board of Directors. Melissa Quintanilla, Regional Services Director. Requesting the approval and authorization to submit the FY27 General Victims Assistance Direct Service Program priority listing and resolution to the Public Safety Office, Criminal Justice Division. Just to let you know that this priority regional priority listing is our VOCA dollars, which are your Victims of Crime Act dollars, and our Criminal Justice Advisory Committee met the beginning part of April to go ahead and review, score, and prioritize these applications. This fund source provides services and assistance to victims of crime to speed the recovery and to aid them through the criminal justice process. So behind the agenda item, you do have that, you do have the priority listing behind that agenda item. And just to let you all know, we did have a total of 19 applicants. And our regional budget expectation for FY 27 is in the amount of $2,866,385. The ask from all 19 applicants was $3,906,292. So the committee did look at this fund source and all the applications and the request, and they did a really good job in trying to make sure that at least each of the applicants were recommended for some level of funding. But I will share this agenda item with Judge McKenzie, who is our chairperson for the Criminal Justice Advisory Committee, if she would like to add any other information regarding the VOCA fund source prioritization.
Sure. Thanks for letting me join remotely. I appreciate it. Wish I could be there in person for this. No, like Marissa said, there was over $1 million deficit. So for the team to sit down and really look at each one, Marisa also working with us in calling organizations on the spot over the scoring to see what are their absolute needs, where we had to make those decisions and recommendations based on a deficit. And I really also like that what we did this year is we piggybacked off of the First Responders Committee and said, if the state does have additional funding, please consider funding the rest of it. So kudos to Marisa, her team, and to the committee for making difficult decisions.
So Board of Directors, if you see on the comments, the last comment column on that spreadsheet, the recommended funding for this fund source is to fund all the applicants with the exception of applicant number 19 personnel. There was just not enough funding to fund everything else, such as supplies and travel. At least those programs can continue the operation of providing direct services to victims through personnel services.
And this resolution in the back,
Yes, sir.
any further discussion? I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
Motion to approve. Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried unanimously. And we'll go to 6.2. Approve and authorize the Rio Grande Council of Governments to submit the FY 2027 violent crimes against women criminal justice training projects. Marissa Quintanilla.
Board of Directors, this is your VAWA dollars, and behind the agenda item, you do have the regional priority list as well as the resolution. If you look at your spreadsheet, we had a total of 2 applicants, ourselves along with the 65th Court in El Paso County. The budget expectation that we're expected to receive in 27 is $269,719. The ask from the 2 applicants was $284,396. So the recommendation was to go ahead and fully fund our training application for a video simulation for scenarios, not only for protective orders, but also for domestic violence. And then also then the remaining funds of $219,719 to be funded for the 65th court. That's your protective order court here in El Paso County.
And Marisa, just real quick on El Paso County, on the recommendations for the CJAC, are you saying that you want to recommend at the 219?
Correct. However, like Judge McKenzie indicated, if the state does have additional funds, we're requesting for the state to pick up the full amount of $234,396.
So you are recommending at 219, not 234.
I am so sorry. Yes.
Okay,
19.
we'll just make that correction on there. Thank you.
Everybody clear on that?
Yes.
Any further discussions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion of the resolution.
Second.
Seconded to approve the resolution. Any further discussions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote none. Motion carries unanimously. Now we'll go to 6.3, approve and authorize Rio Grande Council of Governments to submit the FY 2027 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant. Marissa Quintanilla.
Yes, Board of Directors, this is your JAG dollars, your Justice Assistance Grant dollars. And these funds are typically to promote public safety, reduce crime, and improve the criminal justice system. So you have applications that have some mentoring programs, you have some for equipment programs as well. And so you do see the spreadsheet behind your agenda item. And for this fund source, we did have a total of 14 applicants. And as you can see that the total ask from the applicants was 1,412,544. And our budget expectation for 27 was 597,602. So this was a very also difficult process for the committee. I will go ahead and lean on Judge McKenzie to add any additional comments regarding the committee's process in terms of the recommendation for funding.
Thank you, Marisa. Again, I mean, you see the shortfall is significant on this. On the fly, Marisa was really helpful in calling organizations and looking at what their true needs would be, and not that, I shouldn't say true needs, but what their basic need would be where they couldn't move forward, or this is what they really needed from us. So thank you for doing that on the fly for us. And, you know, kudos to El Paso County for withdrawing. We really appreciate it. It was a lot of hard decisions. There were a couple that were not recommended, and those were conversations with the groups. And one probably didn't actually really fit. We're happy to discuss that, but at the end of the day, I think everybody was really happy with what we were able to do and fulfill for all of these requests that are needed.
Any further discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
For example, the El Paso Independent School District, I know that they requested 127K, the recommended funding dollar amount is 71. Who from the school district reaches out for these types of funding requests? Is it the district directly? Like,
Well, their police department will be the one who's interacting within the preparedness, within the Criminal Justice Advisory Committee. And I know that Marisa's been working hard at ensuring that all the ISDs are aware of the funding, because in years past, they haven't tapped into it. Marisa.
That's correct. That's correct. So we'll go ahead and we do have a email distribution list that folks that are calling, hey, I'm interested in funding. Okay, we'll put you on the list so you can make sure that you receive those email notifications and those funding opportunities when they do become available. And so then in turn, they will go ahead and submit their application.
Okay.
And so, yes, in the past, Annette is right. We really haven't had a lot of, buy-in from some of the school districts, but the word is getting out. And then you'll see that especially in truancy when we look at that fund source.
okay, thank you.
And is that a question in terms of how does everybody become aware of the funding?
Yeah,
ISDs?
yeah, pretty much. The email goes out, and if you're interested, and then you can apply, right? Then they contact the office. Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
And if you would like to be added to that email distribution list, so you can also get those notifications, and perhaps if you need to prompt certain people to, hey, you might look at this or share that, let me know. We can do that.
Any further discussion? Yes, ma'am.
I'm in looking at the scoring. I'm concerned because the top score is a 97.07, and then it drops all the way to an 89.81. Is that normal on these grant requests that you've got a gap between the number 1 and number 2?
Yes, and there's some factors into this. Some of these applicants might not have attended the mandatory workshop, so that's an automatic 5-point deduction. So it really will go ahead and down your score for that. So yes, and it's based also, I mean, we facilitate the process. I'll lean on Judge Evans and Judge McKenzie that are part of the Criminal Justice Advisory Committee because, it's based on scores and it's based, I believe they should be scoring the applicant based on the application as well as their presentation and clarification for the purpose of the project.
And looking at the very end, application number 14 with a score of 64. Is there feedback that is provided to the applicant as to why their score was so low and how they could improve it?
There is not. It's just what's on the score sheet. And so that is what is available for open comment. If the committee member writes something on the score sheet, and if somebody does an open comment or open records release, then we would give that to them. But we personally, Sal and I, do not receive any comments from the committee members to share with the applicants.
But the applicant will know
Yes.
where they landed on this application. And can the applicant request feedback on their grant
Yes.
application? Okay, good. All right. Thank you very much.
And then we'll send them over to Judge McKenzie, who's the chair, and then she can
Okay.
let them know.
Sounds good.
And then Representative Nguyen, when they present to the committee and the committee is then asking them questions, one can ascertain where they're seeing the positives and negatives and where some areas of concern. So I think that informally, when an applicant walks away, they would know what areas would need to be adjusted for the next year if they were to apply again.
Thank you.
And if I may, if you look, the score sheet, they can request, and it is very clear on there where they ranked in terms of need, and whether or not they followed those grant guidelines. It really is very helpful for them, and they can always request that.
Thank you.
If other just. I'll entertain the motion, it's a resolution.
So moves.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries. 6.5, approve and authorize the Rio Grande Council of Governments to submit the FY27 Truancy Prevention Program.
We touched 6.4.
Yes, again.
Okay.
Oh, did I miss it?
Yes, Phoenix.
I am sorry. 6.4, approve and authorize the Rio Grande Council of Governments to submit the FY 2027 Juvenile Justice Youth Diversion Program. Notice it can come in.
Yes. Board of Directors, this fund source is your Juvenile Justice and Youth Diversion Program, which provides funding to prevent violence in and around schools and to improve the juvenile justice system by providing mental health services, truancy prevention, diversion services, and interventions through community-based and school programs. Behind your agenda item, you do have the regional priority listing. We had a total of 3 applicants. And the total asked from the 3 applicants was $129,988. The recommended or the budget expectation for 27 is $126,847. So it wasn't a huge deficit, but the committee was able to go ahead and work through that small deficit with the applicants. So Judge McKenzie, did you want to add anything regarding juvenile justice?
No, I'm just glad there was enough funds. We were only a few thousand short, so this is a lot easier for us.
Anything further? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to pass the resolution.
Second.
I'll entertain, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, now we'll go to 6.5. Approve and authorize the Rio Grande Council of Governments to submit FY 2027 Truancy Prevention Program. Marissa Quintana.
Yes, Board of Directors, this is your truancy prevention program regional priority list, which is behind the agenda, and then your resolution is to follow. Again, this is also part of juvenile justice and diversion program solicitation. But when we get batched the applications, they separate them between juvenile justice and truancy. And so again, these funds are to prevent violence in and around schools, to promote the juvenile justice, improve the juvenile justice system by providing mental health services, truancy prevention, diversion services, and intervention through community-based and school programs. So we did have a total of 3 applicants. The ask from the 3 applicants was $302,148. Our regional budget expectation for 27 is $134,561. So yeah, this was a pretty large deficit that we had. So I'll go ahead and have Judge McKenzie lean on this fund source.
Yeah, again, there was a deficit, so while they were all good candidates, we had to make our decisions based on their presentation, their history, and whether or not also that grant would fund what they requested. Sometimes grantors don't know all the ins and outs. And so sometimes we're left with educating on, hey, really great idea, we love it, but this actually wouldn't be funded, or some of the conversations we have while they're presenting or at the end of their presentation as well.
Marisa, I see that only 3 applicants. Are all school districts aware of these grant opportunities and they choose not to participate?
Yes. And the reason for that is because all the jurisdictions now do have to sign a certification for law enforcement. Hearing that they're going to go ahead and abide with DHS guidelines. If there's a law enforcement presence within their schools. So many of the schools choose not to participate. And I see the mayor nodding his head. So that has changed this year, where now it used to be just only if you were operating a law enforcement that you had to notify, but now it's all entities that need to notify. They need to be part of that certification for law enforcement.
Entertain a motion to approve resolution.
Second.
Moved and seconded for resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we'll go to 7. You approve and authorize the 2027 to 2029 area plan on the Rio Grande Area Agency on Aging. Ms. Yvette, very good. Presenting.
If I may, before Yvette presents, we're gonna change the slides, so we can show you a different presentation. This area plan, as Yvette will say, is something that's required of the division every so many years, but we just wanted to explain that a lot of hard work and effort has been put into this plan. I think that every year it has an opportunity for it to get even better, more innovative. We utilized our surveys electronically this year, and I think that just wanted to recognize Yvette for the work that she's been doing on this plan. And so she's going to present to you some of the highlights within the plan itself, so that way everybody is aware of what's available, what we're wanting to do moving forward within this division of Area Agency on Aging.
You mentioned highlights. We're not reading the 59 pages.
No, you're going to see pictures. Told people like pictures.
I mean, thank you for that. Yes, this is like, right? No, I'm, my hope and prayer is that I can get through this and not bore you. But definitely want to share this, because obviously this is one of the items that I do come before you every so often to request your approval. So this is will be a very high level summary of the items that I think really truly inform what it is that we're doing, highlighting the work that we do, the process that was put in place to make sure that we are actually providing services that are necessary and are wanted or needed in our region. And so I'm pulling parts from, so no, not the 59 pages that you do have as backup. I'm pulling areas that I hope you find of interest and help guide your decision when I ask for your approval. So yes, this is our area plan, and is it up here? I don't want to stop share up here. Okay. As Annette shared, the area plans are documents that are required of area agencies on aging, and we usually go through this process every 3 or 4 years. And I feel like this is my child, and I'm showing it off for the first time. This is what I've worked on the last few months. But really, the purpose of this is, again, to guide what it is that we're doing in our region, to hopefully showcase for you all that we are following Older Americans Act requirements and ensuring that compliance so that the COG as well as the Area Agency on Aging are in good standing, if you will, from the state and federal governments. It highlights the regional characteristics, which is my favorite part, because I like to tell the story. What is it about our far West Texas region that makes us different, but yet a part of our great state of Texas? And so it includes that comprehensive analysis of the demographics of older adults, as well as looking at our regional needs to help then guide what is it that we're going to do with these funds that we receive. We also showcase the services that Area Agencies on Aging provide, at least as far as currently, what we're proposing to provide in the next plan. Now, as you see, this is for fiscal years 27 through 29, so it's a 3-year cycle. And it also then showcases, hopefully, as you'll see by our demographics, as well as the needs assessment, that we are in fact reaching those target populations that are required of us by the Older Americans Act. And so for your information, the Older Americans Act actually does have us look at vulnerable older adults to include those persons who are low income, minority, residents of rural areas or isolated areas, those with limited English proficiency, and at risk for institutionalization. And so hopefully as we go through these slides, you'll see that pretty much in the stats speak for themselves. That is our region. Next slide, please. So I wanted to show this to you all because I love this picture because it does in fact highlight the different areas. So if you were ever anywhere else in the state of Texas, have family, friends, you know that an area agency on aging exists here in our state. There are 28 regions who are typically aligned with councils of government. We do have some others that are either with the city of Houston or private nonprofit organizations. But here we know that our far West Texas region, obviously this is our 6-county region. Now, different from the COG, our Area Agency on Aging funds, since they are state of Texas allocated, we do not serve Doñana County per se in the service region. However, we do obviously work in and incorporate that with the COG if there's any kind of collaboration that we need to engage in. But for purposes of our area plan, we're only highlighting the 6 counties within the state of Texas. And obviously, you know, that's that far West Texas, yes, area. Sorry. Thank you. I was just going to say one last piece. Again, the different colors represent the different regions here in the state. We've only got 6 counties, but landmass wise, you all know that because you're from there and you've been able to see how big and how vast our area is. Also to note, anywhere across the United States, Area Agencies on Aging, by virtue of being federally funded, makes us available across the United States as well. Next slide. So now we get into the statistics of our older adult population. And looking at that, the statistics that I used were from the Texas Demographics Center, Texas Population Projections, as well as the 2024 American Community Survey to gather these numbers. And so you'll see these here. Some are projections, some are actuals from that. So looking at ours being the largest landmass region, if you will, we also have the lowest density in rural area population-wise, again, older adults. So when we look at that, our current 60 plus population is 192,255 persons. Bless you.
Thank you. Sorry.
We know that the majority of older adults obviously reside here in El Paso County. In that 96% of our older adult population is here in El Paso County, which gives us a unique challenge, right? There's only so much money to go around. However, looking at population in need, we know that we've got a few more resources perhaps here in El Paso County by virtue of us being an urban area versus our rural counterparts where sometimes there are difficulties and lack of resources, but it gives us that challenge. You'll see here though that sometimes when we say funding or people feel like funding always just goes to El Paso County. This is reason why perhaps number wise you can see that how it's depicted on the number of older adults that we have to serve, if you will, or that could potentially receive benefits of our services. But the numbers there speak for themselves. So you see the vast difference in our region. However, we're still committed to serving those older adults that live there. Next slide. So another area that I like to look at is also our gender distribution. And we think about that, especially as we age. We know that women have a longer longevity, right? Females happen to live longer. In this case, we know that for our region, men make up 44% of our adult population, whereas women 56% of the adult population, of older adult. And by older adults, if I haven't made that clear, it's 60 plus. That is our spectrum when we look at older adults. So one of the things here you can see, obviously, we have more older adult women that are residing in our service region. With that comes the definite economic vulnerability factors that women face as we age. Looking at that, because if we see the longevity of that for women, they're living longer. However, women have had some disparities in wage differences. Maybe they've had interrupted work histories where they're not earning as much per se. Because of that longer life expectancy, many women as clients are relying more so on those supportive services in order to maintain their independence. We also know that women generally are more likely to be the family caregiver in this case. And so as they age and continue to age and live longer, the likelihood that they are caring for someone and then also being cared for is also something that we have to consider and look at when we think about the services and supports that they need. Next slide. Here with our population of 85 years and older. So we're thinking about, again, 60 plus population. The 85 plus population also has its own significant circumstances, difficulties, as you can imagine. Individuals 85 and older have potentially more health risks that they're facing, more chronic conditions, cognitive decline, functional limitations. And when we think about, obviously, our area agency on aging, our purpose and goal is to try to help older adults remain in community for as long as possible. And so we look at this particular segment of our population, we know that our region has about 17,629 persons in this older 85 plus category. So the support and care that this particular segment of our older adults is sometimes a little more, right? There's a little more support required, multiple services that we might have to put in place in order to, again, maintain that independence and provide that support that they need. What's significant about this with our caregiver population is that most caregivers for this older adult population are usually adult children caring for aging parents, but they themselves are now also in that age category. So they might be facing their own health issues, right? Their own needs. Typically, that's the sandwich generation where they're caring for aging parents, but may have children at home still. But this particular, because of the older adult age, that caregiver is also themselves a little bit older. Next slide. And of course, looking at our ethnic minority status and cultural considerations for our region, we know that the ethnic composition of our region, here in our service region, 84% of the population is considered minority, right? And so we see here the different counties and the population status here that I've identified as minority by county. So we have 4 top that are higher, obviously, than the rest of the region. El Paso, Presidio, Culberson, and Hudspeth have higher percentages of minority identifying ethnicities, where we know that Hispanic older adults, the Hispanic minority status, is considered the majority here, a significant part of our minority status here in our region. So for those 4 counties, that seems to be the higher population. However, in Brewster and Jeff Davis, it's still a significant amount, but we know that we can infer that obviously those are white majority counties. However, there is still a number of minorities living within those regions. So the challenges, obviously, we know for minority older adults, there could be language barriers, there could be limited ability to access information, to help navigate systems because of maybe potential language concerns. And we do see historic service inequities here with minority status. So that calls for us to make sure that we have bilingual staff, that our outreach materials are in fact dual language. And I'm sorry, I didn't infer by Hispanic older adults. You can infer that obviously Spanish is that language. And so we make sure that our staff are culturally appropriate, bilingual in that sense, to be able to make sure we're reaching out and doing our part to connect to our persons who perhaps would not otherwise necessarily connect to us. Next slide. And so here back to that, one of the targeting areas of the limited English proficiency. As we stated, we know that Spanish, we can infer that Spanish is the language that's spoken at home. And here what I found interesting was the statewide average of people identifying as a different language spoken in the home. Statewide average, that's 35.7%. In our region, it's actually much higher. And you can see that here by broken down by counties. Presidio County is actually higher, reporting at a 71.7% other language other than English spoken in the home. So again, the inference there, obviously we're assuming it's Spanish, challenges there that create when you don't have English proficiency and being able to, again, navigate, access, speak to, or advocate on your behalf. If you're not familiar or competent in the language, perhaps you don't feel comfortable. Again, it calls us to be able to reach out, serve, and connect to those older adults who might not otherwise access services. Next slide. For long-range planning and population growth, we're projected to increase by 29% by 2036. And so this is an estimate that potentially could have us seeing older adults 60 plus population to 250,000 persons or residents within our service region. So again, what's also interesting is that the estimated population growth is not necessarily because of an influx of people, but it's because we're just aging in place, right? We're living longer. And so we're adding to that increased longevity rather than migration into our region. It's because we're just living longer. So that's a good thing. Aging is a good thing, right? But it brings challenges. And so from that perspective, definitely from the rural service delivery perspective, again, thinking about the limitations, limited resources in our region, we know that the rural areas are going to see much more pressure to be able to provide that service for us to be able to access and work with communities and helping to serve their older adults. We know that rural areas face rural workforce shortages, There's limited provider networks out there. And so we really, it's a challenge for us to ensure that we're also providing the same level of service, if not at least providing assistance, right, with our rural counties. So it's going to cause us to have to look at things a little differently. We know that funding right now has not increased. In fact, we're still on a continuing resolution at the federal government level. And so that's always a concern that we want and hope that the population growth also is reflected on the funding received for our region. So that's something that's going to challenge us in the future for sure. Next slide. So for our needs assessment, as Annette talked about, this needs assessment was the first time we were able to do it in electronically. We did take advantage of a printed survey if needed. Outreach events, we tried to connect with people. And so this was the way we assessed and tried to gain access to what is it that we're needing in our region, what is important, where do we need to focus our services? And so these were the elements that the assessment focused on. And so we looked at the importance of the 13 areas of service delivery that our area agency on aging currently provides. We also asked people to identify the top 3 concerns or needs, that older adults would need to have addressed so that they can maintain their independence. We looked at identifying what the greatest challenges were for family caregivers, and then determined the level of concern for 15 issues that older adults face. And then, of course, asked where do people find out about the resources? Next slide. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to summarize for you. If anybody wants to see all findings, I'm happy to provide that. But for these things here, the top 3 service areas that we provide as an organization, those top 3 needs that were identified were transportation as the number 1 priority, home delivered meals, and in-home provider services. Now, these are those that are purchased from home health agencies that have care attendants come in and provide care with your personal needs, your homemaker type services, or maybe provide relief for family caregivers to replace them on a short-term basis in the care of their loved one. The independent living needs that people identified, and this was an open-ended question where people could write in, what is it that you think is necessary or important for an older adult to have so that they can live independently? So the number 1 need identified was in-home provider services, home modifications, and this is where you can perhaps make the home accessible, make it safe, make it easier to get in and out of a shower, etc., things like that. And then, of course, meals, food access, and the ability to prepare food. So that was important, right? If we think about older adult aging, wanting to maintain yourself in your home, these are the top priorities that would support that. As far as the greatest challenges for family caregivers, those of us who have ever been a caregiver know that this is not an easy job, but the number one identified item here as the top challenge for a family caregiver is emotional stress and burnout. Managing health and medical needs for yourself and the person you're caring for, and lack of respite care or support services actually tied for second place. And then third was finding time for self or work-life balance. So we know that it is difficult to care for someone. The premise behind our family caregiver support programs is we're not replacing caregivers. We're encouraging them to do that job, but hopefully through supportive services, they can remain for the long haul, right? There's not enough funding to go around to replace every family member who's caring for their loved one. So we really need to support the needs of our family caregivers. Next slide. The level of concern for common issues here, again, the top three that ranked as a very concerning, and that was the range, very concerning to not concerning at all. I'm happy to report that no one said nothing was not concerning. So at least we know we care. But the top three very concerning is number one, financial stability and the cost of living, health conditions or chronic illness, and then loneliness and social isolation. So these make sense when we think about what older adults face and some of the things that they need to or might fear in order to continue to age well. And then finally, where does one get information about services for older adults? Top answer was family, friends, word of mouth. That's always, I always hear the comment of, oh, my neighbor has, or my sister told me to call. That's usually how people find out about services. Older adult service agencies, internet or social media, and healthcare providers. So that's good, because I think sometimes there's a disconnect from some of our healthcare providers that there's also services that they can provide suggestions on and support. Next slide. So we think about those, the way the survey results came together and the identified needs, there really is alignment with the needs and the priorities that were listed. So we see that the needs and priorities that were identified through the needs assessment really help support daily functioning for older adults, food access, and the ability to remain safely at home. And these align with what we do and provide here as the agency, where we support independence. We're looking at preventing premature institutionalization and helping to sustain those caregivers with the support in their care for their aging loved ones. So there is justification for us in that sense to basically continue on that path, provide the services that we are continuing or that we currently provide. So next slide is where we're saying in our plan that we're proposing to basically maintain the services that we are providing right now. So Area Agency on Aging, we have a staff of 15. There are some of us that provide direct service as part of our job, right? This is what we do to provide the services as an Area Agency on Aging. The other part of our budget actually purchases services on behalf of older adults. So the direct services by AAA staff, we see that we have information referral and assistance. That's where someone calls, requests, has a question. This is how we also are the intake process to our services. So staff members answer those phone calls. We have case managers that provide care coordination, caregiver support coordination, working with older adult clients and or family caregivers, navigating systems, linking them to the services that we can purchase, and then looking for that long-term solution, because obviously we can't be that long-term solution based on funding, but connecting people to other resources within our community. We also have benefits counseling. They look just at benefits and helping to access that. They're not insurance representatives, which makes us a key component to helping people not feel like there's pressure to a certain plan, et cetera. We can just help answer those questions when it comes to Medicare, Social Security, other benefits and public entitlement programs. Our long-term care ombudsman services, this is how we connect into our facilities, right? I mentioned earlier that obviously we try to help people stay in community for as long as possible, but recognizing that for some persons that may not be the safest place. And so we look to our long-term care institutions, right? Our nursing homes, foster homes, and assisted living facilities. Our long-term care ombudsman services actually go into the state licensed facilities to act as the advocate, the voice, the eyes and ears for someone who feels that perhaps there's a concern that they have at those facilities. And so we can act as the intermediary between facility staff and the resident and really just look to see how we can provide resolution to any concerns. Then we have our caregiver training and information services. This is where we work with family caregivers on either educating them, say, on a disease process, accessing support, helping them to identify and manage their stress, the importance of self-care, making it okay to ask for help. I know those are all things that come with caring for a loved one. And then finally, our evidence-based health and wellness programs. This is our attempt at helping us do our job to age better, where we focus on fall prevention and nutrition and exercise. Those are the programs that we currently provide now. Again, going back to what we found in our needs assessment, it aligns perfectly. So it's not saying that necessarily anything differently has to be provided. We want to continue to work in service to help continue to expand these vital direct services. Then, as I shared, the purchase of service, we're allowed to purchase services for clients from local vendors. And so these are the typical services that we're currently purchasing and would like to propose to continue to purchase in the future. We have our congregate meals. Those are the ones that are served at the senior centers. Home delivered meals, that's what's the meal that's taken to someone who is a homebound resident. The in-home provider services through the personal assistance, homemaker, or respite care, and that's through the home health agencies. Transportation, we focus that on medical transportation only. I wish we could expand to include, outings and such, but we have to focus that because there's so much need, especially in the region. That's one of the biggest drivers for literally helping people to get into those medical appointments and necessary treatments that wasn't there in, I'm so grateful for the work that we've done in that sense to help continue to encourage that TRACS sustains itself. Residential repairs, as I said, that's the modifications that are necessary. And then health maintenance, if someone needs help purchasing medical equipment, supplies, nutritional supplements, dental services, hearing aids, those are all things that are available for people who perhaps don't have that benefit that's going to cover that support. And so these are the proposed services. That is my attempt in a nutshell to help you all understand what it is that we're doing, what we propose to continue to do, and that I hope that your confidence in us being able to support that plan to the state of Texas. As Annette shared, it's sent in. All of our regions are working on this, and we're kind of in this timeframe now to send into our state office. The state unit on aging designated here in Texas is the Health and Human Services Commission, Office of Area Agencies on Aging. So their job, once we submit our plans, is to compile that into one big plan to send up to the federal government for the Administration for Community Living. And so they paint the picture on what Texas is doing to manage Older Americans Act dollars. So that's my presentation. And I humbly ask for your support to be able to then say, we can submit this plan on behalf of the Rio Grande Council of Governments.
If there's any further discussion, Mayor Renteria said he would take you out in the hall and go over the 59 pages.
Got it.
Let's start on page 3. No, I would like to say it was a great job. I went through the 59 pages. There's a lot of info in there. I mean, tons of info. And you guys did a phenomenal job putting it all together and getting this started. I commend you guys on the work you guys are doing, because it really is needed. Not just here in our El Paso County, but all 6 counties across the country.
Absolutely.
I do appreciate all the work that you guys are putting into it.
Is there a motion?
Yes, that is a motion.
Second. I do have a question before we.
You bet.
So, excellent presentation. And speaking from, I went through this with my parents, and for the past, I was their care provider, and trying to get the information, the correct information of how to care for them, to give them because my parents wanted to stay independent, 100%. So I guess my question is, you mentioned how this information is given. Sometimes it's just through word of mouth. Is there another way we can get our senior population the information that their service is available? Because even myself, being out in the field, when we're out there, we'll run into, and they say like, I don't know where to turn. So is there a way we can be distributing information to our senior population? A better way to do it?
Yeah, and that's definitely, these are the things that help inform. Clearly, when I hear that, I think, okay, it's a double-edged sword. We don't have the funds to go out and create these amazing, advertising campaigns, because if we did, we'd be inundated. As it is right now, we have wait lists for certain services. I hate that we don't get to people as soon as we can. That's the social worker in me. And so we try our best, right, to get the word out. But it doesn't surprise me, but it makes me sad. I don't know how else to reach that without, overwhelming the system as it is. you know, definitely, I would say using you as a resource in that sense, if we need to help inform, you know, law enforcement and or first responders that this is available, we need to connect that way too. I mean, that's something that, you know, like you said, you come across older adults, you yourself, that's where it, now, you know, that's going to turn into a word of mouth, you know, where you say, hey, reach out to the area agency on aging. But, you know, I'm always open to suggestions, you know, requests for presentations, even if it's something that I think, why would we want to learn about this? You never know, right? You never know. So I don't know that that necessarily answers your question, but it's definitely something that we struggle with. also.
Once Mayor Renteria's done talking to you about those 59 pages, I'll speak.
We have a question from Mayor Cruz.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think everyone here can agree it's a great presentation and the information that you provided, it's just a wealth. And not everybody's mom is on Facebook like mine is, so, she's on there, right? But I think us as leaders, taking the information that we learn here back to our communities and present, or even have the COG present at our meetings also, I think that's also an opportunity that we need to take. But I just want to know, how recent is the information that you share right now as far as like demographics goes and stuff like that? How recent is it?
This, my understanding from the Texas Demographics Center, these are projections. So I don't know when they actually gathered. I know that they inform with the census, which is every 10 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The closest-
It could be a lot more than what we're saying.
Yes. The closest would be that the American Community Survey, but that's where I gathered the language, the gender disparities. So that was a little bit more current, 2024. But yeah, so those are the places that we look to inform on population. But yeah, I agree. It definitely could be more. There's always the catch that people who did not complete the census. So we're missing out. I know there was one point where the COG was involved in trying to make sure that we got those numbers, but there's always pockets of locations, especially within our region. Like I'm thinking colonias areas and stuff, the people that do not participate for fear. So perhaps we're missing a pocket of a number of older adults.
Y'all need more brochures, let us know and we could deliver them as well.
Look, we're already spreading the word.
Anything further?
Before we do make a motion or move for approval, Judge McKenzie, if you can turn on your camera, or Judge Hennington, we need one more face to show so we can, there we go. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay.
All right. We do have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Thank you.
One person that needed these services had to leave early.
That's three.
It's a pamphlet. It's a pamphlet.
Is waited the lunch.
I didn't see that you already had to go.
Late for lunch. Are there any other announcements?
We just really quickly want to make an announcement. We do have that, if you can go to the next slide, there you go. Briefly, we had our event yesterday, big check ceremony with Congresswoman Escobar. Just wanted to recognize Marisa as well as the First Responders Planning Group for their efforts in putting together a very successful community funding project application, which was awarded by Congresswoman Escobar for communications. And we have really good, we've received information that we are in the running again for 27 to do a phase 2. So I just wanted to recognize those efforts as well. It was a very nice event.
Very nice.
And that is all I have for my announcements. Anyone else?
I have a quick announcement. Just let everybody know, everybody's invited out to our ribbon cutting for our new municipal facility in Horizon City, our new
Nice.
courts and new police headquarters. Our grand opening is next Friday on the 15th at noon. So you guys are all invited to our pachanga. So come on out, and there won't be any slides, but we'll have some good eats for everybody. So come on out next Friday the 15th at 12 from 12 to 2. Thank you.
Oh, and Mayor, did want us, we'll send it out through email, but they do have a tower, a radio tower that they are
Decommissioning, yes.
decommissioning from the police department, and I'll get with Marisa to pass that out. So maybe perhaps one of the entities might want to consider that if it's something that's within your plan. So we'll be sending that out.
You know, we'd hate to just throw it out if there's a community out there. that would-
Send it to Jeff Davis.
Yeah.
Yes, Davis. Okay, okay, great. Then, yeah, we'll
Judge's house.
get in contact. Good. Okay, great. Then that's taken care of. Thank you so much.
Anything further? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You are adjourned.
Scared of you. Well, I'm starting to.
That's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
there should be a number. Yes, and you know. She goes to my line now. Oh, it's a play. So I need to bring. Stop. Thank you. Oh, man, I was. Please, thank you. I'm gonna have. It's like big lines, at least because it doesn't have it. It's like the feature. And.
Yeah. Oh.
It's finally nice. It's tough seeing the eyes. I've been there. So we can bring that in. Seconds. Yeah.
Yeah.